While you're tuned into the podcast, make sure you check out Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
On top of that, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or to go to anchor.fm to get started.
What's going on, everybody?
Yes, sir.
And welcome back to another episode of Inside the Locker Room.
Back at it. We back at it.
We back at it, my boy. Back at it, my boy. Y'all already know who your hosts are. I'm your host, Steve Mosby. You're here, my boy.
Your boy Wes.
Wes Diesel.
We here with it.
We here with it.
With new mics.
And with new mics.
With new
we
mics.
hoping you're liking the quality. You feel me? We hoping y'all liking the quality. Before we get started, we want to appreciate everybody that's tuning in right now. Whether you're listening from your car, listening while you're working out, either one is very appreciated by us. So we thank y'all for that. But my boy, last week we had some talks. We had a whole lot to talk about. For all of those that did not listen to our last episode, you can definitely check that out. That's live on all platforms. So if you want to check that out, definitely go and do that. But my boy, so just before we get started, I do have to ask you a question because this has been at least on my feed lately. I don't know about your feed, but at least on my feed lately.
I'm new to this one.
Are you familiar with Kevin Samuels?
I'm very familiar with him.
All right. So
shout out TikTok.
Shout out TikTok. Shout out TikTok. Well, he's been catching, a lot of noise and traction on Twitter lately just because, one, that's just kind of what he does. He says a bunch of outlandish things.
He tears some people down, though.
Well, he does, and it's at the expense of women sometimes, black or white. I think he does it to all women, but it's mostly black women that chime in and ask for his opinion on certain things. But I know recently he's been called out by your boy, Dr. Umar.
Well, don't ever in your life associate me with Doctor. I can't believe you just said that on this net. I am not, and I'm pro-black. Trust me, I'm pro-black, but it's just some things Dr. Umar say. I just be like,
he out there, bro.
Umar.
But they're
he
equally
do
out
spit
there.
some facts.
He does.
But
He does.
He make it tough.
He's out there. He's definitely out there. And listen, for all intents and purposes, like I said, I appreciate when he does, bring the real.
Yeah, he do bring the real. He'll talk that real.
But in the same breath, I gotta hold him accountable because you can't be spitting the real and then trying to dabble in some lies. But that's a whole different topic for a whole nother story, man. We could definitely get to that in a different podcast. However, back to Mr. Samuels here. He recently was called out on Twitter from the OnlyFans community. All right. And before we get into what it was, I do have to ask you personally, my boy. What are your thoughts about OnlyFans as the platform?
As the platform?
Yeah, as the platform.
Like I said, in this day and age, you really can't get too mad about it because, in a way, it depends on how you use it, or whatever what you use it. It's the way you get money is the way you get money.
Right.
So, it's a good way to, brother, I've seen people sell their business on there. I've seen people, do business things on there. Yeah, we do see it for the sexual aspect and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's literally no different than kind of like how IG is with some women, some men, how they're just influencers just off the way they look. And it kind of goes into the thing of, I'm sure people have heard this one, pretty privilege or attractive privilege. So when you look at attractive privilege and stuff like that, and most attractive people, you can attest to it or stuff like that. You can see where it comes about. It kind of tie in with the OnlyFans thing, and it's like, well, I see guys or this or that are always asking me to say this that because I look that good. There's some weirdos out there that'll pay this hefty hand. Am I right?
There are.
Am I right? Which is crazy because it's free stuff out there on the internet do that, but it's some guys out there that just don't care because you look that good.
Yeah.
And like I said, pretty privilege, attractive privilege. Same thing for men. Oh shoot, he look like that. I might have to pay that price. Like it's crazy, but that's the world that we in now. It's such a viral and influencing type world.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I agree with some of the stuff that people might do on there? Nah, I don't. But what I also say, and the fact of the matter is, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Same thing when you see some of these influencers go about they path of doing outlandish stuff to get viral. But the crazy thing is, if you get viral so quick, social media could really change your life. Like we've seen that with people as we grew up through Vine and as Instagram started to progress, you see these new IG comedians and stuff like that. They just take off like that because all it takes is one hit. All it takes is one hit. So
literally.
No, for real. So you get that one popping. So hey, I've seen women post their OnlyFans like account on like TikToks and stuff like that. I mean, they make a hefty price if you really get popular. If you get going, you make a hefty price.
You can get in your bag.
Yeah, you can get in your bag.
You can get in your bag.
So hey, like I said, do I agree with some of the morals? No, but guess what? That's not my life. But what I will say is, at the end of the day, is hey, this how this world is moving fast. The sad thing is, a lot of people want instant gratification. That's the path to get there. So that's my spiel on it.
No, I actually am very thankful that you said that because that actually leads me into the topic at hand in regards to Mr. Samuels. I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. Listen, we all live different lives. So you gotta get it how you live. We all heard that saying. You gotta get it how you live.
Get it how you live.
But in this instance, Mr. Samuels here, he was trying to speak that real talk with these OnlyFans models that were on the podcast. And unfortunately, we love to shout out podcasts. So I actually feel bad that I don't remember what podcast it was, but I saw it on YouTube. And he essentially, said, hey, pretty much, yeah, you getting money right now, and you making buku bucks.
Yeah.
He even compared it to how athletes make crazy amount of dollars, in their short span of being athletes. And he was like, but have you ever thought about what that life is gonna look like after after your looks fade away? Because he said at some point it will fade away.
Yeah.
And you ain't gonna be able to live off of this money for long.
Absolutely.
And he just was simply asking, what are you investing your money in, and what is your plan after 10 years?
Okay. See, I'm a little hip to. I'm hip to this. So you keep me up to date
so,
on this one.
Yeah,
I'm new to this conversation.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I mean, it was like, I mean, he goes viral just for the namesake.
Oh yeah, I heard so much. I didn't see this one.
I was more surprised, and I told you this earlier. I was more surprised because I was not expecting the amount of female listeners to the podcast or his fans or whatever to be as supportive of him. And so that actually brings me to my question to you. I'm like, do you believe in this little get rich quick scheme, or is it something that OnlyFans models really need to be wary of?
Like, you asked me, is this could be a career?
Yeah, like a legitimate career beyond 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, after you made your money from people looking at you and, praising your body, can you keep that up, for another 5-10 years and make a legitimate, long career at it?
It kind of tied back into what I just said earlier, and it's like the world is moving so fast that sad thing is that it's always gonna be something new coming about. So yeah, you can be this popular person on OnlyFans, like, oh man, you this and that, but sooner or later it's gonna be a new wave of women coming up. A new wave. It's just what it is. It's going, no matter how much you going. Like, it's a little bit different to me. It seems a little bit different in sports. Like I said, I'm not into the OnlyFans things, so I don't really know how it could be, but I feel like with sports, yeah, you're gonna have longevity. You can be longevity in sports, especially if you can always find a way to tweak your game. With OnlyFans, I don't know how much only you can do, especially if you're selling it through sex. Like, how much only can you do to keep on bringing people in? Was like, well, she does the same thing, or dang, she do something like this. Like, man, it's only so much you can do till you get to the point. Like, maybe I'm not saying degrade yourself, but you're gonna have to do probably some crazy, hasty things to really pull people in. Like I said, with business, if you're doing it for business aspect, you can always tweak something up. You can always tweak something up.
Facts.
When you're doing it, selling your body, posting your pictures and doing this and that, twerking, whatever you may be on there. Like I said, those type of things seem a little bit that's interchangeable. Like, I could be like, oh well, I can go watch this other person do that. I don't have to keep on giving this and that, no matter how loyal they get. You're just gonna keep on keeping on. So, as a quick, push to get a little extra money, for sure.
Yeah.
Longevity, career wise,
that's rough.
In my opinion, I don't really see nothing good come out of it. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. Maybe it do. Maybe there's a way you can tweak it. More power to you. That's why you do it. To me, sitting here thinking about it out the back of my head, it's like, man, what all you can do, and just think about how life goes. It's no different than any other career. You always have to find a way. Like, you can stay to your basics, but it's always going to come to a time where you're going to have to be like, I got to adjust to the now. I got to adjust to what's going on now before I get left behind. I got to catch up. So, like I said, that's the same thing. And like I said, this is your body. You said, Kevin Samuels just said, as you get older,
Botox can only lift up so much now.
Because as we know, sometimes as you get older, not too many older men are really going to be attracted to women their age. Yeah. What they're going to look for?
Yeah.
No younger you. So it's like, dang, what am I to do now? But also, I guess you could look at it as, maybe if you do get really popular in this OnlyFans things, maybe, you get pulled into a career of being like video vixen or something like that, or just being an IG influencer where people, push their products to promote it. Maybe. But, like, we don't know. It's too much uncertainty. It's too much uncertainty in that. It's like, it's too much I don't know. Too many ifs. It's too many routes of like, So.
Are you sure you haven't seen this interview, bro?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm for real. I haven't seen it.
I'm only asking because you said literally almost verbatim, most of the things that he was saying in the interview.
I'm Kevin Samuels? No,
I'm not. I was just like, that's literally what he was saying. He was like, listen, this fast life that you live through OnlyFans is literally, what's the next, best thing available. Mm-hmm. And how long does that span last? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it could last you 2 years. Absolutely. It could last 5 years. It could last a year. Like, sure. But he was like, have you ever thought about how you going to double that money that you getting when all that stuff fade away and whenever that time come and that, the women
and stuff like that.
Yeah. He was. That's why that's why I said he was asking like what you investing your money in, what's your plan afterwards. Because to your point, and this is, and I actually saw a documentary on this. Believe it or not, it was on TV. They did a segment. I think it wasn't on E. It was on some TV channel, but they did a special on the life of the porn industry, and part of what the documentary was about was, one, how brutal the porn industry can be because, like you said, it's that what can I do next to keep people's attention? But the other thing they were saying is some of these, stars kind of get kicked to the curb and then they've done all this stuff to, make a name and get famous. And then, they're right back, trying to find a job.
Right.
And some of them don't realize they can flip that career into production and whatnot. And they don't take that time because they're so used to taking in that attention. So to your point, I agree with you. Yeah. I'm like, listen, OnlyFans, I don't judge nobody for how they get their money.
No,
listen,
not at all.
I was like, first of all, college is becoming less desirable because of the fact that it's taken away from people.
Yeah, it's so many other ways.
It's putting more people in debt than the actual return on investment that they're getting after they graduate. So, this whole entrepreneurial thing is only going to get bigger unless they find a way to make. Especially now, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
But in the midst of all of that, I also have to ask you this because I have a bigger topic to get to. I didn't want to spend too much time on this topic.
Good, we rolling.
We definitely are rolling. But I have to ask you because you did mention like it's a different industry. You know what I'm saying? And it's a very lucrative industry at that. And so, with that being said, the other reason why this interview that Kevin Samuels had with them went viral is because he was really saying like, "Hey, man, y'all." I don't think he said this verbatim, but he did say, y'all, some sex workers. And so, y'all, do you have a plan? Or y'all just your typical OnlyFans models that's looking to get a quick bag? And they were like, well, we're not sex models. OnlyFans are not sex workers. And to their point, that is very true. You can use the platform however you want to use it. But the way they were using it, I believe it could be considered sex workers. However, I want to ask you because they were greatly offended by this, and I'm like, do OnlyFans models deserve that stigma, or is that worth having that stigma of being a sex worker when it comes to being an OnlyFans model, or do you feel like it's appropriate? Do you feel like that's
See, I guess everything is based on like how you look at whatever you want to look at. When I hear about sex worker, I mean it's pretty deep. Yeah, it's pretty down deep down in there, on the corner, whatever it may be. That's what I'm looking at it as. They taking pictures. If they using it for sex, they taking pictures of themselves. They posting pictures of this and that. I mean, it's literally no different than a model that's posting a picture of herself and if she's voluptuous, thick, whatever she's got going on, she's posting that.
Right.
It's literally no different than that. It's just she's putting a price on it.
Putting a bag on it.
Yeah. And it's up to those guys if they want to pay it or not. I can't say to the extent that it's sex working because, like I said, that's not how I look at sex working a little bit different. I look at my definition a little bit different. Do they carry an unfair stigma? Once again, it's tough to say because it's all based on how people look at things. Everything's based on how you want to look at it. If you truly just believe like, oh, that's horrible, I can't believe they would do that. Then you're gonna look at it as, you horrible.
Yeah.
Probably somebody like me and maybe some other people like, you know what, man, she ain't really out here just doing whatever everybody.
Yeah.
She ain't having sex with whoever. She ain't just doing straight flat out porno. She's posting her pictures, twerking, doing whatever. She's doing her. I mean, hey, she's doing her.
Yeah.
Like, that's not my life. Like I said, this is my life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold it over her head. I'm not going to judge her when I see her. I'm not going to hey, man, same with a dude. I'm not going to judge you. But I'm like, man, do you?
Yeah.
Like, but you all right? You doing you. You ain't bothering me because I ain't watching that. You ain't doing nothing to me. So, I'm not going to hold that over nobody's head. Like, that's how I kind of view a lot of things in life. I'm just like, man, you know what? Yeah, that's don't fit my morals and stuff like that. But you know what? The way you doing things and you like I said, you posting your pictures, going about your day. I mean, bro, what can I really say? That's disgusting. You out here just showing your behind, da da da. But it's like, you know what? Maybe she just see that's her path for like, well, dudes are in my DMs saying this and that. Let's see if I can make use. Like I said, it goes back to what I said earlier, that pretty privilege, attractive privilege, or whatever.
I like that term, actually.
Like, you see that thing, it's very real. It's very, very real. So if you see stuff like that and you get that type of attention, you're going to look at that type of thing. Like, you know what? Let me just do this and that. And I guarantee you, that's what's going to push you out there. That's going to push you out there. Like, we've seen literally women and men that are just popular off their looks.
Facts.
Just what it is.
Facts.
Just what it is.
Facts.
Sometimes you guys got to roll, like, what's your highest thing you got going for you? If you look really attractive and you feel like, and you get all these, like I said, all these DMs, all these people talking to you, why can't you just kind of start to waver toward, like, let's see what happened? If that's how you think. I know some attractive people that just won't roll that way.
Yeah, sure.
They just won't roll that way.
Sure.
But there's also some people that be like, let's just see what happened.
Yeah.
So, like I said, is it an unfair stigma? That's a tough question to truly answer. But to elaborate it all, I won't hold it over their head. Like I said, however you think, if that's how you want to hold it over their head, go right ahead. Me, I'm not going to make it a stigma. I'm not going to say they're a disgusting person. Yeah. Even if they are having sex, I'm like, well, Y'all watching? Y'all watching?
Watching it?
Yeah, like come on now.
I agree. I will say this much on that topic before we get into our deeper topic of discussion. I very much agree with you. I mean, to each his own. I mean, however you view it is how you view it. But just to add context to the situation, you know, if you are deciding to go into that lifestyle, that's perfectly fine. I mean, you might as well embrace it. However, know what you're getting yourself into.
Know what you're getting yourself
because,
into.
Listen, it's no different from, you know, a black man walking down the street with a do-rag on, and he may got some Timbs and whatnot. We already know that's typically what's associated with how other individuals view as rough, roughneck dude from the hood, and it's like, you know, unfortunately, is it fair? No. To answer the question directly, no, it's not fair. But we all know life is not fair, and so if you know that's what comes with, you know, that image, just be ready to take it. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, I mean, you know, listen.
Backlash.
I was about to say, just be ready for the backlash. I'm like, I'm not telling you that it is fair, but I am saying is, you know, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, it's like it's the next closest thing to the porn industry, if it's not already considered the porn industry. So if you know that's the case, don't be right. I was like, don't be.
Everything has a con.
Everything has a line. So it's like, unfortunately, it's not fair. But that's just kind of the way the world is. Unfortunately, people like to judge, for their own comfort.
Always.
And we still rock do-rags out here.
Yeah.
I'ma still rock my boots and whatnot.
Yeah, I'ma still go out here.
Yeah, I'm saying I ain't got no shame in my style out here. You feel me? But the reason why I really wanted to talk about this, especially in terms of the stigma, is because there was a bigger topic of discussion that happened earlier this week, and
which is wild. This is an interesting one.
Yeah, and it was very wild, and it kind of happened all at once. First, notably, there was a lot of viral posts and content regarding marriage, and I thought this was interesting.
Once again, I ain't hear about this.
Yeah, it was one more notably that I believe. One was the Bill Gates and his wife, getting divorced.
That money.
Right, it was for that money. But the other one was, and I think this came through like the Shade Room or Warp Star.
Yeah, I remember you did send me that one. It was the World Star.
And the Tokyo Vanity was, she went viral because she responded to a comment about, people not wanting to be married and whatnot, and she kind of went through a list of like, if you were hurt, just say that. If you were broken, just say that. Yeah. And now, she kind of went through a list of things. And being a married man, I really wanted to get deeper into this conversation because I feel like today's world not only views marriage differently, but they view relationships much differently. And I have to ask you, and this is completely off script right now. I'll get into the real questions later. But given the social media age that we live in right now, do you believe that it's having a real effect on how we view relationships?
Well,
especially millennials and below.
Not even from a... Well, it's funny that you say that because, honestly, this has kind of been looked at even from way back when. Not way back when, but, I know even my, relatives and parents like that, especially some of our generation, you can kind of look at some of your relatives and really look at it like... You can look at them and be like, well, did they believe in marriage? Because how did they look at it? They looked at it as, the longer they were around each other, or when a kid popped up, they were married, but they was just together forever. So in the mind, they kind of said, well, we're married now. Yeah. So you can kind of say, well, that kind of was already there with that same influence. Even in, I'm not saying in the African-American community, but I know a plethora of family members on my side, that's how it kind of went, where they weren't really married, but since they were together for quite some time, this and that, then they ended up having a kid, they just kind of just flow with shoot.
I think there's an actual term for that too, and it's like married by law or something like that, or
something like that. I know what you're talking about, but I can't put it on. I can't think about it right now. I can't even put a name on it, but that's how it kind of transfers. Right. It's like, well, we've been together, had a kid. Yeah, we're married by thought in a way. We just hear it by thought, so we're just gonna roll with the punches. We ain't go by law or stuff like that. And granted, back then, it wasn't like that much social media, but now that it's getting more pushed out there, you can see it like that. And, all these other different stages of the talking stage, the date, all the different stages that get labeled out and stuff like that. It's already kind of been here, but social media, like anything else, has enhanced it. True. Just enhanced it like anything else. And personally, in my opinion, I just feel like it's enhanced it. Like, it's been here. It's been here. Like I said, you can probably, even not married couple, was maybe your grandparents. Your grandma just stayed around. They weren't married. They just stayed around for a while. End up having kids, especially from back then, which is sad because women didn't get put in good enough opportunities to make pay and, opportunities to open up their own bank account. So who do they need? A man to do that. So they just stayed around for a while. So they seen their grandparents like, oh, your grandma didn't get married? Well, we just together. So you looked at it as they're married.
Just together.
Yeah, just together. Like, swear to God. Like, sometimes that's how it's kind of played out. So now you kind of look at everything, and now it's getting pushed out there more because people are being more vocal about it and stuff like that. And since people are getting more feedback about it, they always going to... Now they starting to see this generation, since they getting so much feedback about it, like, I don't really need to get married because look at them. They're happy. Look at them. They're happy. Or I'm hearing about all these different stories. And they didn't really get married. Yeah. We're just going to roll through life in a bond. Yeah. And we definitely remember when that started taking over. People say, I don't really want a title. I just want a bond. Remember when all that started coming about. But now since it's getting pushed out there because there's so many eyes on it, people just rolling with it. So I think it's always been here. It's just social media hasn't amped it up more.
Man. Listen. So social media is... It's probably has been. It's not only is it a drug, it's probably been the most influential tool this world has ever seen. And because of the fact that it has a crazy amount of reach, and people, you use it for many things. But I mean, more notably, since social media did come up, in the millennial age, in the millennial generation, I feel like we use it in a way that's beyond its initial use. So like when Facebook first came out, it was like a tool that was supposed to, connect people on campus. And lo and behold, that, people were connecting, and then they got connected to other people, outside of campus, and then the thing just blew up, right? So now it's not only a way to connect people, it's really a way that people literally not only just stay in touch, but like form legitimate bonds. Yeah. Like if I can't physically see you, I know I can put this persona on social media, and now I can create a bond with my followers, which is wild to think about. It's really wild to think about. It's crazy to think about, but
it's true.
It is very true. And so when it comes to like relationships, I think especially millennials and younger, we use that in a way that's like, I mean, it's how can I say this? So when people use social media to like, shoot their shot or whatever, like it gives you a different level of confidence. Like it really has boosted everyone's confidence in relationships.
Just talking trash.
Right, from talking trash. So I'm not saying like it's false confidence, because I mean, if you have it on social media, it means you've always had that confidence. You just weren't, used to presenting it in public. So
it's no different than how people are when they say, I hate being on the phone, but I can text you.
But you can text like crazy, right? So they have that confidence, but I think social media, to your point, enhances that. And so I have to, so it for the sake of this conversation and back to the conversation at hand about marriage, a lot of people use social media to present this idea of what a relationship means to them, and they want to see if other people agree with that.
So they can get the train going.
Exactly. And so I'm personally, this is the real reason why I wanted to talk about this conversation, because I feel like now we're at a point where this it could be good for, future generations, but it could be bad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about how dicey that can get. And so I have to ask you, do you think that we're in, or marriage in general, because a lot of times you see, like, especially like, a lot of viral posts, especially on Twitter per se, is about like, well, if you ain't on my level, then I'ma just do me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
you know
what I'm saying? Like, people, they are very much emboldened by their single lifestyle. So I wanted to know, do you think this is jeopardizing the thought of marriage going forward?
It's just the fact that people pushing their own agendas out on social media.
Yeah, they like.
Because the sad thing is the people that are pushing it out are the people that are those influencer people that are doing
facts,
it. Which is scary to an extent, because like I said a few times, I think we talked about this last week. We was talking about the instant gratification stuff. So people seeing all this stuff on social media and hearing their main influence, aka like relationship gurus, which I've never really understand how you can just speak on relationships. Like, who said you can speak on relationships?
You're the end all be all.
Yeah, I never knew that. Yep. But the sad thing is, when you get in that point, people are gonna roll with it. Like, wow, he said it. He seems like he has a good mind or a good head on his shoulder. I think I should roll with what he's saying, because it seems like he's going right. Derek Jackson, we know how that played out.
Talk to him.
We know exactly how that played out. So when you see those things, like, people got to understand. Once again, kind of how we said last week, it's a process behind closed doors.
Yep.
But people don't want to hear that.
Yep.
They're looking for the now answer. They're looking for what's the now, what's going on, what are you saying?
Been looking forward to this conversation.
What are you saying to me now? So you're hearing people saying, well, me and my wife just, we started off just as a regular bond. We didn't even, try to think about getting married. Da da da. Oh, really? That's what I should do then. Because you seem so happy right now.
Yeah.
Not gonna work. So yeah, to an extent, yes. If the influencers keep speaking like that, yeah, it could get detrimental going forward. Instead of finding a real true love, you're gonna have a lot of people walking around almost to a point where they're trying to get in like just regular open relationships, or just forgetting the whole thing of really what a relationship is, really forming something, and just kind of going off what they see other people doing. Then you just have this mimicking process start happening here, and it's like, man, now we going straight on the drain. Start mimicking people. Live your own life.
Yeah.
Live you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you are you.
Yeah.
I mean, and I get it. Everybody's falling, victim to the process of just like, dang, he got the answers. Let me follow him. But it's a difference of trying to follow and just take advice. Mm-hmm. Just take advice. Don't just follow that person just because it seems like they're doing the right thing. No, he's not you. Weren't born around the same people. So it's just what it is. So
you talking the talk today, brother.
So social media and stuff like that is talking like that. Yeah, I truly believe, it could get detrimental.
Yeah.
I get detrimental.
I listen, I'm really fascinated by the way that social media has kind of taken things out of proportion. Mm-hmm. Like, to your point, I mean, back in the day, you know what I mean? And this is also going to lead into another question I got for you. Back in the day, and we can speak to this, even as millennials, because before social media got here, I mean, we really had to know how to, physically communicate with people if we had interest in them. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine how much that played back in the day when you didn't have any social media. The girl that you wanted, you just had to walk up, spit your game, and kind of, see how it land. But nowadays, you can spit your shot on social. If you get shot down, it is what it is.
Scroll to the
next one.
Wow.
You can call her this, that, and the other, and get away with it. And so even in that,
easy access,
right? And it even kind of plays into the part of how they physically interact with individuals. Because like I said, that confidence and that type of response has always been there. It's just there needed to be something to incite it. Yeah, exactly.
Get about this.
And so from a male perspective, right now, especially speaking to that to the comment I just made about guys spitting a shot and then they may fail and then they'll go and call girls this, that, and the other on their social or getting their DMs and talking crazy. Do you believe that chivalry is officially dead? Because, I mean, like I said before, guys don't have to really go out no more and, spit their game. And they don't have to learn how to be like a straight up gentleman. Like, either you going to respond to my DM or you're not. You feel me? So do you think chivalry is officially dead in the millennial age?
I won't say it's officially dead just because, man, at the end of the day, we still got all the... Because, we got social media, but guess what? A lot of people are also hosting a boatload of ton of social events.
True.
So, true. Because networking is at an all-time high right now. And you can truly attest to that. Like, people are pushing that out. Like, networking is true. Like, people now understand, like, how do I get this job? You got to know people. You got to network. Facts. You got to know this and that. So, Facts. I don't ever think it'll be dead because at the end of the day, just like you talking to a woman, I'm not saying they're a job, but you're trying to pursue something that you really want. So you got to learn how to speak. You got to learn how to approach them correctly. Yeah. So I don't think it'll ever die down because at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want on social media, but at the end of the day, if you're not showing yourself what you are in person, it could go downhill just like that. I agree. So I don't think it'll ever be dead because, like I said, a lot more people are learning how to talk. Shoot, once again, it goes to the relationship gurus out there. People are pushing themselves out there to tell them how to talk to women. I've seen several TikToks out there where it's people that are doing TikToks where they say, if you want to look attractive when you're walking down the street, this is what you do. Yeah, like I've seen all that stuff, and I'm like, it's no way to be dead because if anything, people are using that platform right there to say, oh, well, this is how you can do it. Shoot, people are doing pickup line stuff on TikTok. So I don't think it'll ever be dead to an extent. Will it be a little iffy? Will people go about it the right way? Some people won't. It's going to be 50-50 now, But who's to say what it was back then? I mean, we've heard some of the stuff that our uncles and stuff done said to some of these women that they done told us what to say. And I'm like, man, Unc, I'm not saying that. There's no way that's going to fly by with a woman. This is a different age and time. I'm not going to walk straight up and get in their face and say, where you going? What's this going on? What's that? Yeah. Not going to happen. Yeah. It ain't going to happen. That's what it is. But now that you're getting out here, you got people pushing it out. No, I don't think it'll die. I don't think it'll ever die. That's just my personal opinion. So while you were saying that, I was trying to look it up. I wasn't ignoring what you were saying. I was looking this up because it's actually bringing. It's like you just been hitting all the transitions right now. You straight. So you were just talking about influencers, and there are some influencers out there that try to tell people like, hey, this is still the way that you need to interact. With the opposite sex or the same sex or however you interact with individuals that you have interest in. And that gentleman, he's a social media influencer. One of them, his name is Derek Jackson. Have you heard of him? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying earlier. Okay, so he has been, praised for the amount of information that he's been giving out, especially by women, about how you need to go about getting relationships and how you need to treat those relationships. And I know this is old news now because he got crushed. I mean, he absolutely got crushed. Did you see his third person video?
Yes, I did.
Weirdo.
Very much a weirdo. Very much a weirdo. And he got caught cheating on his wife. And so now all the stuff that he's, said about relationships and how to keep a relationship and what you need to do, all that stuff has looked like it's pretty much been thrown in the trash and he has to start anew. And that's why we're having this conversation because, like I said before, on social media, he's telling you all of this stuff. But you don't know that is picking up traction. That he's not even living that lifestyle apparently behind the scenes.
And that's why I gotta stop.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, do you not think that social media is killing marriage as it is? Because I mean, if people can't believe a guy that's literally married and he's literally trying to convince more people why marriage needs to be relevant, yet and still he's getting caught cheating on his wife.
This is crazy.
And then talking in third person about how he's sorry and I'm like, such a weird dude. Like, he was such a weird dude. But that's what I'm saying. Like, do we not feel like marriage is in a very vulnerable place going forward? Like,
I guess I'm just being optimistic because of what I've seen on other social media sites. Of the simple fact of the matter, like I said, there's people out there that are trying to push the other end.
Facts.
Like, there is other things, and then on top of that, since there's so much information out there, I feel like it couldn't ruin it fully because people like that go get caught. If you're really doing all that in a marriage, something gonna come to the light. You're doing all that in a marriage,
right?
Like to your wife, you doing it to like something gonna come up, and I would hope. But I'm just going out there being hopeful. I would hope that they just see it as wow. I can't believe I can't believe I'm not here listening to a guy on the internet. I need to just live my own life.
Yeah,
I would hope, you know. But like I said, like you just said, there is some people out there that are gonna keep pushing that agenda, and we don't know how they living.
Yeah,
you know, we don't know what they're doing, how they are. Maybe they're being brutally honest about how they do things, whatever, and maybe that could mess up marriages. But like I said, for me being optimistic, I've seen other people on the other end pushing that side. Man, go live your life, or go do this and that. Right. Try that out. Tell this to that person, whatever. That's how I'm looking at it. So I don't think it'll never fully get like deserted.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be more bigger of a back push, of course, as we get older. Like anything, it's just a different transition to life.
Right.
You know, and as we go through it and stuff like that, we're seeing these things like, oh man, not the Donald Trump thing, but the Bill Gates thing. Like, wow, she left after 27 years, but once again, we don't know what all happened. That's not you. That's not you. Sadly, you know, we gotta just keep hoping that people are looking at it like that. That's just not me. I'm not Bill Gates. Now, you know, oh man, she didn't even stay there for all that money. Maybe if anything, look at it like this from a positive side. It ain't all about the money.
Right.
You know, look at it like that.
Yeah.
Shoot. You know, if anything, you want to look at a right marriage. Look at Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade, how they do things and stuff like that. How they balance each other out. How Kobe Bryant and Vanessa Bryant did things. How they balance each other out. Those type of marriages, like even when look at those things, they didn't push all that out there. They just stayed to themselves and did them. You know, so I'm just hoping to be optimistic about it. I hope that people would see it from that position, and the people that are pushing the positive stuff out keep doing what you're doing.
So, all right. So, to your point, I mean, we've inside the locker room put out on social media earlier this week. Because we wanted to know this. We were really interested in it after all the stuff that had came out surrounding marriage itself. We asked our fans and our followers if do they wish to be married? That was the question. Do they wish to be married? And I honestly thought we were going to get a 50-50 split. Now, well, on Twitter we did. I know we got a 50-50 split, but on Instagram it was a significant difference. Like it was very lopsided. There was a lot more yeses than there were no's. And not on top of that, it was a mesh. It wasn't like it was like a lot of, of our women followers that were saying yes versus it was a very healthy mix of male and female followers that said that they do still wish to be married. Now, the one thing I do find a little interesting about this though is that when we posted it originally, we were asking them to comment on the post below in the comments, and we only got a few comments on that. However, when we put it on our story, it was a lot more activity. It was a lot more anonymous. And that's why I said, I was like, it's interesting because it's like, I think deep down people do still believe in marriage and the concept of marriage. But they don't know how to period. But they don't want to go in there blind.
They don't understand it.
Right. And I'll say this out of experience because I will say this much about being married has opened my eyes a lot. When we usually go out into public and whatnot, especially like bars where there's a lot more of our peers, and when I say peers, like a lot more black folks that are like us, we get the question all the time, are you guys married? And when we tell them yes, they're like, "Oh, really? How is it?" Right? They're taken aback by the question, and they ask, "How is it?" As if I'm supposed to tell you that my marriage is, if
you're already high on that pedestal.
Right? I'm like, one, even if it was going bad, do you think I would be telling you that? And I feel like that's part of the answer that they're actually looking for. They're like, I was like, "Oh, so how is it? Do you like when?" I'm like, one, it's not like that, guys. It's honestly not like that. It's like if you're literally going into a marriage, I would hope that you're going into marriage willing to be with that person forever. It's not like some weird bind that you were just kind of forced to be into. It's literally willingly.
Literally no different than how when you first move in with your
yes, or just getting into a relationship.
Like, whoa, what are you doing? You moving in?
I'm like, yes, we are. Like I will say that much has opened my eyes to how people. Yeah, like because they really, I feel like people do look at marriage and think the absolute worst. Like even with Jeff Bezos, with Amazon and how they got divorced. The first thing you find out about the wife is that she went and, she's now, I think she's either engaged or getting married to some teacher. And they're like, oh, well, she may have always been doing that, or he may have always been having an affair, and that's why she's doing it. I'm like, you don't know. You really don't know. And nor is that like the foundation of marriage, someone else's marriage. Like literally each one is unique. So to your point, I'm like, I feel like social media, as influential as it can be, I feel like people only want to be influenced by the negative because that's what they're most comfortable with when it comes to marriage. And that's why I'm a little fearful about marriage going forward personally. Because I'm like, if you're always looking for the negative, you're going to reach.
Oh, that's always
You're literally going to reach.
The only way you're going to get going on social media is you talk about the negative.
Yeah. And it's
I guarantee you, if you got on here right now, and I was like, hey, man, what was some of your work? Like, what makes marriage so bad? We might get a good plus. We might get a good... And the sad thing is, like, wait a minute, what's the baddest thing going on in your marriage right now? What's so tough about it? And I guarantee people will gravitate right now. So they can speak on it.
And so they can have an excuse of why they don't want to test out getting married. Because it is a commitment. But that's the whole... My thing is, especially when it comes to relationships, it's like, why are you in the relationship for if you didn't think that you want to be married? And maybe that's a whole different conversation. Yeah. But I'm just like... I feel like that part, to your point before about, how, older generations... They would start dating, and then before they know it, they've been dating for like 20 years.
Yeah, it's just, I'm married.
And now you're married.
That's
and it's
what
like,
it looks like. We've been together a long time. That's what marriage looks like.
But that's what a commitment is also, though. Mm-hmm. That's literally what a commitment is.
That's why I can roll like that.
You feel me? So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, we could talk about this for hours. Mm-hmm. But I know we also have a bunch of sports topics that we got to get into. Yeah. So... we're about to get into this halftime speech.
For sure.
For those that are tuning in on this, if you have not done so already, please go ahead and check out our social media. If you have not answered the question,
Twitter and Instagram.
Please go ahead and engage. We are very much going to be tuning into this topic a little bit further. We may even have to bring some guests on for this one because we have a bunch more
this
questions.
Go on all day.
This really could.
This could go on all day.
But we're about to get into this halftime speech. You ready, my boy?
Yes, sir.
All right. And now a halftime speech from your host.
You want me to do it?
Oh, go ahead.
So you manscape, big dog?
Why you gotta answer like that? I gotta make sure I'm keeping myself shaved around here.
That's all right, man. Ain't nothing wrong with manscaping.
What you got for me, bro?
Ain't nothing wrong with manscaping. So, why are we talking about manscaping? You can call it whatever you want. Shout out to the men that do manscape. You should manscape. It's good for your health. We have a promo for Smooth My Balls, correct?
Smooth My Balls,
which is a manscaped trimmer for you fellas. Based on what I've looked into, great product of trimmers. Mm-hmm. Definitely get you looking smooth.
Smooth.
And it'll definitely show you everything it has to show. Get those hairs tangled up there, big dog.
Hey, don't get tangled up in there. Don't get them tangled up in there.
We definitely will give you some more info, fellas, for sure. We'll give you some more info here soon. You're looking into Smooth My Balls. Smooth My Balls. Don't worry. We'll be coming at you with a link so you can look into it. I believe they are giving a little promo if you click into it.
Yep.
I don't know how much it'll be off for the trimmers, but get a little discount for it.
Get a little discount. And you can try their, I think it's called their Turf Chopper 3.0.
Wow.
I think that's their bread and butter.
Wow.
Get you chopped up.
The Turf Chopper.
Get you smoothed up.
That's rough. The Turf Chopper.
The Turf Chopper. Wow. That's for the greasy brothers out there. You feel me?
Don't be greasy.
Don't be greasy out there, man. Take care of your body.
Smooth those.
Smooth my balls. But definitely check out that link when we drop.
We will be dropping,
and we will. And if you need any more information, we can get that for you. Please. Also, making sure that you guys are staying locked in. we are officially dropping merchandise. So actually, it's already dropped. If you have not seen it already, check the page. ITLR merchandise is officially dropped. Right now, we have shirts that are available. If you are interested, please DM us with your size, and we will certainly get that to you as soon as possible. Oh yeah, we'll have all the deets for you. We'll have all the deets for you.
Hoodies might be coming.
Sweats might be coming.
I was like, it's not heavy.
But for now, for all those that are interested, because springtime is upon us, and summer technically now?
Yes.
Okay, so summer is upon us. We definitely got the shirts for y'all to rock, and making sure y'all always stay locked in. It's more than a podcast; it's a lifestyle. You feel me? So that is it for our halftime speech. We hope you guys are staying great. But we got some shorts on the sports coming up next. Stay tuned. Shorts.
Them shorts
on sports.
Dun dun dun. Shout out.
So we promised you guys that we was gonna get to our bread and butter per usual every episode. And this one actually, we have a few topics we got to get to.
There's a lot.
There's been a lot happening in the sports world lately. NBA, NFL, NCAA technically. So before we get into our major topics, because we got to recap a little bit of that draft.
Starting off with that?
No, we don't need that because we got a couple of questions for that.
We have to.
But we will take it into a subject that we did not get to in our last episode, which was the NBA. Playoffs are almost here. At
the
least
play
some.
In.
What? Right, play in. Hey, you beat me to the punch there.
Hey.
And this obviously based off of last year and how COVID, forced the NBA to take this bubble approach, and the playoffs were completely altered by it. That format has remained similarly the same for this year, and I quite frankly like the idea, but I'm not a basketball player, so I don't know how that feels to be in a situation like that. However, there's this dude that you may know of.
What's his name?
His name goes by LeBron.
Never heard of him.
LeBron James. That's his name. He had some comments in regards to the playing game and his health. Because not recently, I guess, but he got injured. Yeah. It was a little while back. Was it a month ago or a couple months ago?
A few weeks ago.
Oh, a few weeks ago. Yeah. I thought it was about a month ago.
A month, but he just now starting to turn it
around. Right. And he made some comments about the playing game and about his health. And before we get into his comments about the playing game, one of his comments about his health was surrounding the fact that he doesn't believe he will be 100% again. Because he recently just played in a game. I thought it was against Sacramento.
He's back out.
Right, exactly.
He did play in Sac.
And so, what are your thoughts about this? I mean, is this father time catching up to some of the vets in the game, specifically LeBron?
Has he met him finally? Man, it's crazy to see because we've seen it time and time again. It seems like he keep elevating.
True.
But for him to really say that, and the reason I'm gonna take it with as I believe him because, LeBron damn near an Iron Man.
Facts.
He damn near been an Iron Man. That playoff run in 2018, I believe when he was on the Cavs, and it was just him, the only superstar, made it to the finals. And granted, he lost to the Warriors in 4, but at the end of the day, he was hooping. And for him to do it like that and not really, he wasn't really effective. He was 33 at the time, 33, 32. And then, last year, once again, averaging 27, 8, and 8. And it's like, wow, he is really attacking year 17 like no other. But then, boom, this happens. And then he say that. you have to really be like, man, I think he ain't like you can people. I saw people was bashing him saying, "Oh, that's soft, this and that, blah blah blah." But at the end of the day, we've seen some older athletes when that major injury hit, you just know your body like, man, I don't think this is it. I think I'm not saying it isn't like he say this is it for me. It's just saying I don't know if I'm gonna be that same Bron where it's like, oh, I'm good. Right. Like, no, I'm gonna feel that. It's gonna linger with me now. It's gonna be some time where I can push off. Sadly, one of his teammates might be get to that point soon. AD, that's another conversation. But he went in toward that with his injury. I know a lot about his injury, and he gonna start getting to that where I'm like, I ain't gonna be the same AD. Like
this is gonna be sooner rather than later.
It's scary. I really scary. It's really scary. But you know, what Bron said, I can't get mad about that, and it's scary to see because. You know, people done slandered this man. I know I was one of the main people that used to slander him a little bit, but now as you get older and really appreciate the game, you know, I really hope y'all really appreciate what Bron got coming because, was he 36, right?
36 or 37.
Yeah, well, he'll be turning 37 here soon.
I think so.
Like, man, it's going to come to him. It's going to catch up to him. Just what it is. And I really hope y'all really appreciate what y'all saw over these last few years because you're going to have to take what he's saying with hold some weight. Like, yeah, bro, he not lying. You talking about a man that spent $1 billion on his body.
Yeah.
If he's saying he might not be 100%, I'm going to probably have to be like, yeah, he might not be because this man poured everything into his body. So, you know, damn, I hope, you know, I don't know how his run going to finish. I don't know if he ever going to get another one. I'm an LA fan, so I would love to see that. But, God, boy, I just don't know. Mm-hmm. I just don't know, man. But that's from my life. That's my eyes on it.
Well, I mean that's fair enough. I do agree with you. I mean, at some point, Father Time catches up to every athlete. It's not. I mean, that's inevitable. I don't care. Even with Tom Brady doing what he's doing, Father Time is still gonna catch up to him too. However. You know I have to play devil's advocate here. You know what I'm saying? This wouldn't be the people's favorite podcast unless I gave them something to linger on. Listen, I do have a respect for LeBron. I'm not about to sit here and slander him because he got injured. And actually, in his defense, it was a nasty looking injury that he got. Yeah. We've been there before. Those little roll up ankles. Actually, his was not even really roll up. It was kind of like
almost flat.
Yeah, his injury is very, very legitimate. I'm not saying that he's wimping out or not. Yeah. However, I will say, and this is actually going to go into our next question as well, that LeBron James, as talented as he is as a basketball player, he may be one of the best athletic politicians the game has ever seen. He knows when to speak. He knows when not to speak. He knows what topics to jump on. He knows what to get out in front of. His team is amazing, and he's a great politician. Probably should run for president one day if he has aspirations. But
James 2020.
The reason why I'm bringing that up is because what he just did is managing expectations, and what I mean by that is LeBron. He knew exactly what he meant, what he was doing when he said, I don't think I'll ever be 100% again. Because if you say that, now all of a sudden people think, well, dang, that's a bad injury, man. And if he doesn't make it to the playoffs, well, he wasn't 100%. If he doesn't make it to the final, well, he wasn't 100%. But if he makes it, now all of a sudden we have a new conversation. Well, he went to the finals and he won with a bad ankle. And he brought his team. He's a very smart politician. Oh, man. I'm not sitting here saying that it's not a bad injury.
Maybe but just keeping it real.
He may be keeping it real, but did we not just see him go through a groin injury last year where he came back and he was perfectly, they did, do some time management with him, but he was perfectly fine come playoff time. And which is bringing me to this next question about the other comment he said. The reason why I said he's managing expectations right now is because now they have these play-in games. And the Lakers, as of right now, as it stands, they're not playing so hot.
Hey.
Listen, I have nothing against the Lakers. So I'm just keeping it real. They look, I think they're the 6th seed right now, as it stands today. and they may have to find themselves in that play-in game.
Yes.
So, I don't know who they'll face in the play-in game. I would hope it's not any like a Golden State team right now who is completely. I mean, they're just a serious wild card.
It's just Steph.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if he gets going like the way he's been on a streak lately, I mean, that's a scary team right now. But he made mention in one of his interviews that this play-in game is not only stupid, but the person whoever thought of it should be fired. Now, I'm gonna let you give your piece. Before I let you take your piece, because I would like for you to have the final word on that before we get into our NFL segment. I will say this: the play-in game happened last year. Am I not?
It did.
Okay, and I don't remember LeBron James saying anything negative about this play-in game. You want to know why? Because weren't you guys going in as the 1 seed?
We were.
Okay. So when this whole topic was up, once again, what I say before, he's a very smart politician. This whole play-in game, he knew not to speak on it yet. And now he's finding himself in it. He's the first one of influence to say, yeah, I really don't like this. And now all of a sudden it's an issue. I'm like, LeBron, this came in last year, and you could have said something about it, but you were on the 1 seed. So all I'm going to say is, LeBron James, I appreciate, especially from a communication standpoint, I appreciate him as an orator, or however you want to. The man is very clever with his words. And so I want to hear your thoughts on this, because that's a pretty bold statement. To say you don't like it, I think Draymond Green came out and said he didn't like it either.
Yeah.
And there were a couple others. But to say whoever came up with it needs to be fired, knowing good and damn well this went through a committee. I believe the Players Association was involved in it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he's a part of the Players Association anymore, but he's friends with Chris Paul, who is a part of it.
Yeah.
So I would like to know your thoughts on this, because like I said before, I'm always going to play devil's advocate, but I'm also a realist.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about this, and is he reaching?
When I first heard it, I said, okay, Brian, don't do that. But I will say he did speak on it when it first got brought up a while ago. And I believe it was like 2018, 2019. Then he said something along the lines of, because at first when they brought it into the bubble idea, he had said that sounds a little corny. But I guess when he saw how it came about, in his eyes, he was like, okay, it looks like that would be a decent idea for the teams, because it was such a tight race at the time. It was a tight race. I mean, you had, I think it was, because Portland was starting to get going, and Memphis was going, and San Antonio was going at the time when the bubble was coming about. Those all three teams were clicking, and then the Suns.
Yep.
Which understandable why he said at that time. But he did say back then that seemed corny. That seems corny. He did. That is reference. Like I said, like I said, timing was a little weird because of the position they're in, stuff like that. Frustrated. We don't know. So I will always say is I don't think Brian was saying it just because he's in the position. Because like I said, he did say it was corny a while ago. And I think he said it was a good idea at the time of the bubble because of the three teams of how tight the race was. And which it was. And I'm like, well, you know what? Yeah, the bubble needs a little bit more excitement. You might as well, because the Blazers were high, Memphis was rolling. You needed some more eyes on the TV because everybody was home. So yes, let's just get a little playing game going. Now, it seems like you don't really need to do all that. In my opinion, you don't really need to. In my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
But that's all I really got to say. I don't think Brown was doing it just because the Lakers are right there. You know, it is what it is. That's how I see it as, especially, like I said, LA fans. I won't think he was going there.
Listen.
He wasn't going there.
I will, like I said, I'm not blaming him for anything. I'm just being a realist and saying that the timing of this is very weird.
Yes, I know.
Because of the position one that he's in. And
timings are always weird sometimes.
Well, I'm saying, I was also saying that because LeBron has made it very known that he's willing to speak out on anything and be a face on anything if he feels that strongly about it. Yeah. And saying it's corny, listen, that's not as strong of a statement as saying, whoever made this should be fired. Because I'm like, there was a lot of people that went into that decision. But nonetheless, like I said before, I feel like that's a conversation we may be able to have later, depending on how they end up. But we also have some more topics that we have to get into. And speaking of LeBron being a very influential individual, one notably being his global reach. And I bring that up because before we get into the other one, this is also very much off script. But I saw this today and I was like, ooh, I need to say something about this before. And it's all related. So don't worry, brother. LeBron was very much out in front when all the, when the George Floyd situation kind of went out. And he's been there with the Breonna Taylor and, all the things that surrounded police brutality. He's been very much on the forefront of that and being an advocate for change. And recently, the reason why I brought up his global reach is because the Olympics recently just came out today, and I saw this via the New York Times, that they are banning any athletes from any Black Lives Matter, reference, anything. They're banning that for the sake of keeping out any political affiliations, with the games. Yeah. Now, this could just been journalism, but I found it to be very interesting because, once again, we find ourselves in a situation where Black Lives Matter is now once again being put at the forefront of whatever, people may think about it in terms of, societal issues. And I just, before we get started, because we are going to talk about something else that's happening in the Olympics, I just want to get your real quick thoughts on that.
That's just ridiculous. I don't think you shouldn't really think of it as a political movement. I mean, everybody done talked about pushing for change, pushing for unity, or this and that, pushing for speak your own voice. But this is what it is. Let them people speak their own voice. Let them speak how they feel. It's what it is. Especially, this is a worldwide thing.
A worldwide event.
Yeah, worldwide event. Let people unify on what it is. And then on top of that, you're going to have all races, all ethnicities, whatever. And majority of those Olympians are going to be African-American.
Right.
The majority, it's going to be some African teams on there. It's going to be some African-American people from France on that team. Let them speak how they want to speak. Don't let them think they're pushing a political agenda. They pushing for change.
Right.
Pushing for what it is. So don't look at it as no political agenda.
Yeah. I agree with you. The reason why I said it was interesting before we get into our next topic is because it was only Black Lives Matter referenced in the headline. It wasn't Stop Asian Hate or anything like that. It wasn't All Lives Matter referenced in that. They even made reference to the fist in the air, right? And we know that was an iconic moment in the Olympics. And they said all of that is banned. And the reason why I said it was interesting is because I felt that was a very much, at least in the way that it was referenced in the story that I read, it felt like that was a very targeted article.
Seemed like it.
Yes. And like I said, since this is off script, we're not about to get all into that. But for our listeners, I would love to hear your thoughts on this because we're definitely going to be putting this on social. For sure. Because they kind of just dropped it in there and then they kind of
just left it out.
And then other headlines started to kind of drained it out and tried to drown it out. So we will definitely be getting back to that topic. But speaking of the Olympics, there's some other disrespectful things that we recently just saw come up via ESPN and Sports News.
What's going on here?
And it's regarding a one DK Metcalf fantasy goal, by the way.
Shout out DK.
Fantasy goal, by the way.
Rocky got the bag.
He did get the bag, but I would personally say DK has helped me out in some of my fantasy leagues, and I appreciate him. However, he's recently came out and essentially
he's one of 15 men.
One of 15 men that is deciding to try to qualify for the 100-meter dash. Is that correct? And I think that's it. Did he?
Oh, that's it.
Okay. And if all goes well, he will be participating.
His qualifying time is 10:05.
A 10:05. 10:05.
I just thought I'd slide that in there.
Do you know what his 40 is?
40 was a 4.33.
Okay.
230 pounds.
Okay. I'm just interested in this. I love the football knowledge that you give me on this situation, but I feel like even my own knowledge feels that this act, whatever he's doing right now, it's not going to end well. I don't know what he's trying to prove, but essentially he's taken the hype about him being one of the fastest NFL players to heart, along with Tyreek Hill, and he's going to put it to the test.
Yeah.
Now, Lola, you know who Lolo Jones is. She recently put out a post, and she went out and it was very, very well.
There's been a lot of Olympians.
Oh yeah, and she's already said straight up that he's not going to qualify. However, she said there's a lot of outs for Olympians that if he does in fact make it, there's a lot of outs. But I do want to get your thoughts on this. Now, we're both track athletes, right? Okay, so we are very much passionate about this, and I love the Olympics, and I know you love the Olympics as well. So I do have to get your thoughts on this, especially as a football scout and as a former track athlete. How do you feel about this? And is it disrespectful in your opinion?
I'm not gonna say it's disrespectful. I'm just gonna say it really is wild, especially the track community don't get a lot of respect. And I was a football first guy until I kind of started to really pay attention to track, and I was like, okay, but the community don't get a lot of respect, and it's really crazy that certain people just hop into these events and stuff like that, and trust me, football players are actually some of your world class craziest athletes. Yeah. I mean, I know we didn't get into the debate of can basketball do what football players do. It personally, I don't think, and that's not even being biased. I've just seen it. There's some things football players just can do. They can do a lot of different stuff, from gymnastics, this and that. It's really crazy. But track speed and football speed, at the end of the day, is very, very different, and it's on a technical standpoint. And I'm not trying to dive into it. I've trained going on 4 years. Shoot, I started training legitly, speed training and stuff on myself, 2015. So we talking about 6 years. So I know what it means to have legit speed, and I know what it means to have track speed. And I've seen it. Track speed comes a long way from technical and just moving efficiently. Football, you fast. You ain't really worried about how you really move. I mean, you got to have a decent way to move and stuff like that, but it ain't really don't matter. So I'm not going to say it was really disrespectful. But what I will say is that just can't come in thinking just because you're moving fast and you've done this and that on the football field and they tracked your speed with this gen stat and say, oh, DK was moving at this rate. Man, he caught him down from this amount of yards. Look at his acceleration getting out, blah, blah, blah. That don't mean you just can come out the blocks and just get busy like a Michael Rogers, like a Justin Gatlin. I can go on for days with certain people I know for a fact they can get out the blocks hard. I just don't know. I commend him. That's what's up. I don't know where his weight is at now because you got a lot. It's pretty crazy that he can move that fast at his weight. That's pretty impressive that he can move that fast at his weight. But at the end of the day, from your technique standpoint, I can go into how he gets out of it. I've seen how he get out. He has very long strides when he gets out the blocks. It's powerful. It's powerful. It's very powerful. But if it's not at an efficient point, it would get very bad. It would get very bad because that's where you start at in your 100. Is your start, your early start. That's why Justin Gatlin is one of the best.
It's like, as I said, I
don't even know how his top end is because Usain Bolt's top end. Start was horrible, but his top end
is crazy.
It's amazing.
Crazy, not amazing. It's crazy.
I don't know how his might be. I don't know how his really might be. And then on top of that, you haven't ran 100 in a long time since high school. Speed training for football is a lot different than speed training for track. That's just what it is. I've trained speed training. I've trained football players kind of like track, but not fully to an extent. track people that have trained, yeah, I'm going to hit you for your arm swings and your posture, all that. I'm going to do all that because that's what matters. So I don't know how it's going to go for DK. Really good, fast athlete, big, strong guy, whatever. You know, cool, you know, NFL players, real athletic people. This track is different. It's just different.
Very different.
It's very different.
Very different.
Yeah. That's speed. I'm talking about, and I know I'm picking on people like Justin Gatlin, but I can, what's his name? Trayvon Bromell?
Yes.
Trayvon Bromell. I mean, he's world class too. Christian Coleman. I mean, I can get people that are not even world class. You know, they can go out there in shorts, in shoes, and we'll bang out a 4.3. And they'd be like, whoa, what's going on there? Just because they know how to run properly. That's what it is. You know how to run properly. You don't really got to look like you're moving fast. You don't have to force yourself to look like you're running fast. That's why some of the people that run legit 4.3s, I can tell them, okay, you fast. When Marquise Goodwin ran his, relaxed, wasn't really trying hard. I said, that's real speed.
Yeah, that's running.
That person that's coming out straining, kind of like DK did. I said, oh, yeah, he's fast, but he pushing a lot. He got it in him, though. People that I've seen that really do it, Marquise Godwin, Justin Gatlin, when they get out, real chill, real relaxed, face relaxed. I said, that's just speed. Tyreek Hill, don't look like he really trying. That's speed. That's really what it is. Mecole Hardman, speed.
Yeah, that's speed.
You know, but hey, you know, I don't know how long he been training. I just don't know how he gonna come out and do it. You know, if he come out, I'll give it to him. If he come out and bang even a 10-3, 10-2, or even like a low 10-1, I'd be like, damn, that's pretty impressive. For only a few months training, I'll give it to him. He earned on my spec. Hell, he come in top 10. Whew, okay. That's impressive. You have to give it to him top 10 because I'll say he probably only been training for what? Because they went to the playoffs this year and that was in January.
Right.
So he's training from February all the way till now. So that's 2, 3, 4 months?
If that.
He's been training like that. So that's why I said that will be impressive if he even gets top 10. If he even get 8th, I'd be like, whoa, because 8th could possibly be like a 10-1 something. I'd be like, you have to give it. I will give it to him for that one. 4 months you banging out a 10-1, and you haven't ran legit high school 100-meter track in a long time, since high school, and he graduated 2014, 2015. I'll give it to him for that one. I'll give him that one, but him qualifying.
So that was the point I was getting to. That's why I was making that face.
Oh no, I'm not saying. I'm saying if he does even get top 10, I will give him. I have his respect now just because of him hopping in like that. I'll give him respect for that one, but like I said, I don't think he's qualifying.
Listen, I will say this much because I mean, we have some other questions to get into, so I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible. I'm very appreciative of him entering because it brings more eyes to the sport and athletes that are in track. So I'm very appreciative of that. However, I do find it to be very disrespectful.
Yeah, you think you just hop in?
Because you think you can just hop in there. We're talking world-class runners, sprinters at that. And to think that you have, that's why I said at best, 2 to 4 months or whatever, however many months he takes to train, to come in there and just hop in without the amount of training that these people put years into. I do find that to be very disrespectful because you're trying to tell the world you think you're so fast that you don't need to put in the amount of work that these sprinters put in on a day in, day out basis to qualify. Now, to your point, I don't think he'll qualify. However, he's not going to be going against some of the top world-class athletes. And that's why, even if he does, yes, you go out there, you put on a show, you qualify, cool beans.
Whatever.
But I will assure you that is the last run that he will be lauded for and praised for. Because when you get into the field, I mean, can you imagine him running in a 100-meter dash in a heat with Usain Bolt, even if he decided to come back?
Boy, that's you going for the best.
I'm just saying. But I'm saying, but that's the competition that he would technically be suspecting to go against. So all I'm saying is it is very disrespectful to think that you can just hop in and do
4 months and get busy.
But and you know I'm passionate about this, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
first of all, I agree with you very much that track athletes don't get as near as much respect as they should.
Not at all.
And it's probably because of the fact that we don't see it as much. But nonetheless, you can feel that way. But just know that these are some of the best athletes in the world.
Best to ever do it.
In the world, with the amount of training that they have to put in. There is so much that goes into running properly. And then there's another piece that goes into the actual cardio that it takes to be a world-class sprinter, 800-meter runner, whatever type of race that you do. There is so much that goes into that. And not to mention the amount of abuse that goes into the body to sustain that. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
But we have to, the reason why I wanted to transition into this is because DK Metcalf was actually he was essentially an underrated pick for the Seahawks. Very underrated pick for the Seahawks, and he has made a name for himself, obviously. And we in our last episode were trying to go down the list of some of our NFL prospects. And some of the people that we liked and some of the people that we didn't like, thought were overrated, etc. But now that the NFL draft is over, we get to finally talk about some of the picks that we liked, some of we were surprised at. And so I wanted to get into this because you put a couple of questions on here. But do you mind if I kind of scramble them out, or do you want me to go
dissect it?
Okay,
dissect it. Do whatever you feel like you want to start off with.
So the first question on here, I will start off with that is: do you like how the draft was operated this year, or
the way it was with COVID and stuff like that? Yes.
Okay.
It was well.
Everybody in there was vaccinated, by the way.
It was.
All the fans were vaccinated.
Were there?
Yeah, that was the first thing they had to put.
Was Jarvis Landry and stuff on there when they were brought up on there and stuff like that.
They said everybody that was in attendance was vaccinated.
Joe Thomas and all that too? Oh, wow.
I was I said, I personally feel like that was strictly face, that they needed to show that for.
That was a lot of people.
Yeah, I was about to say that they needed to show face and make sure that they were keeping a clean image.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
I don't believe that, but that's what they said. So
got the Fauci ouchie.
Exactly. Got the Fauci. So you were impressed at least with the way it was operating.
I guess it was more just because we didn't have it last year, even though last year was ran pretty well too, virtually and stuff like that. But last year was just really because you got to see it back. Stage looked good. Band could have been chosen better. I'm not a huge King of Leon fan. I think that's who it was that was playing. So they could have did something a little better. Hell, I've been cool. They did a little Metallica out there or something like that.
Who was that lady was that the lady that did the national anthem that was screaming at us?
I don't know who that was. That I didn't know. I just said, man, let's get right to this number one pick. Let's get right to this bad boy. I don't care about this music. But other than, just the way the presentation and stuff like that, it was pretty dope looking up there.
It was. It was.
Pretty cool for them to put up in Cleveland and everything like that. So I was like, okay then. Tricked out Cleveland, had it next to the water. So I was like, okay. It was a good event. I liked it.
I agree.
I liked everything about it. Got to see the kids go up there and stuff like that. Now, that's why I have to ask though. So you're telling me the draft picks were vaccinated too?
They said everybody in attendance was vaccinated. Okay, that's all. I can't.
Whatever.
I'm not sure if they were referring to the fans. I'm not sure if they were referring to.
I think I know Goodell was.
Okay. I'm just, like I said, unfortunately, that's all I can give you. That was the first thing that they kind of slapped on there at the top, or either the bottom right corner of the screen or top right corner. They slapped it on there and made sure it was nice and bold.
With a grain of salt.
I said the same thing.
But whatever. Hey, it's still cool though. It's still cool to got to see some of the kids up there and got to get on stage, get the picture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Speak out how they feel, and a few people that was at home, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
A few other people and stuff like that. But like I said, good event.
Yep. Okay.
I like the event. What about you?
I thoroughly enjoyed the event. I will say this much: Roger Goodell, you think way too highly of yourself if you thought fans were, biting at the chomps to sit in that crusty old seat that he put up there. That was the corniest.
I was more worried about, like, what if the pick was bad?
Bro.
What if the pick was bad? You got to sit on stage.
My thing is, they didn't even let the people that were sitting in the seat do the picks.
True.
I was like, I said, you think way too highly of yourself. If you think people just want to sit in your seat.
Feel my freaking chair, man.
Come on, bro.
They didn't want to feel boy.
I said, this is why I cannot stand him. But nonetheless, I did like that. It was refreshing to see. Man. Yeah. It was refreshing to see that, the draft is come back to some sense of normalcy.
It's starting to get back
there, right,
for sure.
So I definitely did appreciate that. However, we don't talk about this to talk about how
whatever you want to do.
We got to get into some of these picks, all right?
Whatever you.
And so do. I will start off by this and saying, who, in your opinion, drafted the best? Start us off.
I'm sure some of the people that are listening are going to love these. So we got two. So, I'll throw out two, and I won't elaborate much so we don't hold on too much time. Number one was the Bears.
Oh,
The Bears.
The Bears.
I was close to being a fan.
The Bears.
I was close to being a fan because they got my guy who I wanted. They got Justin Fields right there. Beautiful way to trade up and do that.
Yes.
That was already a killer.
Yep.
And then you mess around and go in the second round, you get one of the most underrated tackles in Tevin Jenkins. I said, oh, wow. Yeah, the Bears are doing things. I said, okay, Matt Nagy, you're not a bad coach after all. You got something going on. GM, they knew what was going on. They had a great draft. So the Bears
was one. That.
Bears was number one. Number two, I have to go Washington.
Really?
In my opinion, I like what Washington did. I mean, Washington's and Browns was a close tie for me, but Washington had a good one just because of. I like the linebacker that they had got with Jamin Davis. I was a huge fan of him anyway. I was like, man, I hope people just sleep on him just because he only played one good year. He dropped to the Patriots or something like that. But he went in there and ran a 4.43. It's 40, stuff like that. I said, too late. They found them. Yeah. And I remember we had the week before. I said they needed a linebacker. I thought it was going to get Xavier Collins, but Jamin Davis is what it is. Yeah. Then you get one of my favorite picks in De'Ami Brown. I love De'Ami Brown. That was a good pickup. That was just a great pickup. I said, hey, here they go.
I like what I'm hearing.
Brown, McLaurin, now Curtis Samuel. You can say whatever you want. They ain't get a quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick can do what he needs to do for the year. He can go get whoever you want next year because next year's QB's class is deep. So you'll be just fine. Yeah. So those are my two.
Okay.
I love everything about them too.
I'm actually not mad at those at all. The first one I have to give major props to is the Dolphins. The Dolphins, in my opinion, made sure that they took care of what they were supposed to take care of, which was they got some more playmakers. Jalen Waddle, I love that pickup. We've already talked about ad nauseum, how good this.
It'd have been Chase or Waddle.
Yeah, so. I was like Chase, Waddle. Or if Smith was available, they obviously picked Waddle over Smith, but any of those picks would have been good. And I like the fact that they're doing more to surround Tua so he could, produce at the best of his ability.
I do wish they did. I mean, the Jalen Phillips was just fine, but I will say I do wish they took a tackle.
They ended up getting. I know they ended up getting an O lineman like in the second round, later second. But the reason why I appreciated their draft overall is because I felt like they took care of the immediate needs with the capital that they had because they had a ton of picks. They had a ton of picks. They had a ton of picks. So, they really could have done whatever.
They didn't trade any, did they?
They may have traded
when they got to that sixth spot. I'm talking about anything in the second round. They didn't trade nothing. They just stayed with them.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, they stayed with them and rolled with them. That's what's up.
That's why I said I think they did a really good job in terms of securing the needs that would benefit not only Tua, but the way that Brian Flores is putting together that defense over there. He is really. Listen, I'm gonna go out on a limb right now. What were they ranked last year defensively overall? 10. I'm gonna say right now this is about to be a top 5 defense.
It's scary.
I'm gonna say this right now.
and they might get Malik Hooker.
Exactly. So I love the way that they did their draft. They got immediately a playmaker, and then they went defensive for at least what was it, the bottom half of the first round and then into the second round. So I feel like they did a phenomenal job.
Absolutely.
The other team that I actually gave props to was the Denver Broncos. And the reason why I believe they did a really good job is because I also think they took care of some immediate needs. And I think they're going to be in play for a serious quarterback. Now, I don't know who this quarterback is. There's obviously rumor out there that Aaron Rodgers is thinking about that. But nonetheless, you had talked about how they needed a corner. And very lo and behold, they end up getting one of the best corners in the game, and they got Patrick Surtain. And I think didn't they trade up to get him, or did they just stay there? Okay,
right there.
So I like what they did because they made sure they shored up that defense, which you had talked very highly about, by the way. They went and did that, and then they went and got Javonte Williams, who I also think is going to be very underrated.
Let go of Philip Lindsay.
They let go of Philip Lindsay, and they brought in this kid, and he is a bowling ball.
I'm telling you.
That brother is a bowling ball.
Both of those backs from UNC.
Yes, he is an absolute bowling ball, and I think they just did a really good job of securing those needs, like I said, in the first 2 rounds. And then I know they had made some additional pickups, but I just like the way that they shored up, some of those immediate needs. To your point about they already have a solid defense, and they need someone to go behind Teddy Bridgewater. And Javonte Williams, some people had him number 1 as RB number 1 on their boards. So I like that.
I know I did.
Listen, I'm very appreciative of the fact that you don't really kind of, start reaching, because I feel like the Cowboys did a lot of reaching on their picks. I may be wrong, but who knows? I think they are the person
after the first pick,
I feel like they did a lot of reaching on theirs. But the other lineman that they picked up, who I actually was hoping he was going to fall to the Steelers, was Quinn Marinez, or however you pronounce his name. He's very underrated too. He got a lot of attention in the Senior Bowl, and I think he's going to be a very solid pick to shore up that O-line that they got out there too. So I think they did a really good job, and so those are the two. Because listen, the Dolphins are competitors now. They were literally a game away from being in the playoffs. They literally just needed a playmaker, like how
just Tua got to take that step.
Right, he has to take that step. The team is there. The team is there, and the Broncos, if they can get a solid defense to go up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs,
it's there.
I mean, listen, we saw the Raiders, have a lot of success against them. I think it may be the Broncos' turn to take the reins. So, speaking of that, we do need to know real quick who fumbled the bag during the draft, and I only really got one, but you put down here 2. So
once again, it's just if you feel like it's 2, sometimes it's always a 1 on the side where they was right there too. Mine will have to be, it's gotta be them. It's just named Bengals. It's just named Bengals.
Yeah, if you weren't gonna say them,
the Cincinnati's. Yeah, it's just named. Like I said, man, that's what's up, man. You got your quarterback, his best friend, whatever, blah blah blah. But he needs to be protected. It's just what it is. Hey man, he gotta be protected. It's for what it is. You need to give him what he needs, and that needs a line.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this earlier before we got on the pod. I looked up Jackson Carman, I believe, hometown kid, did do pretty well on that Clemson line. Did get hurt, so that kind of threw him out of the whack. But he's also a huge projection. It's like, okay, if he develops really well what he is, all pro, definitely. Yeah. Like if he developed the way we think, all pro. With that way that line look, we ain't got time to be guessing. I know about Frank Pollock. When I used to work there, I believe he was there. Great O-line coach. He was a great O-line coach. I heard nothing but good things. Hard, but nothing but good things. you putting a lot of pressure on him, and not a lot of pressure. I'm sure he can handle it because he's been doing this, but you don't want to put him in that position to be like, man, I got to develop all this talent. Yeah, they got Riley Reef there. Yeah, you got Jonah Jackson. Even then, he's still caught on injury. He could be a good Pro Bowler type left tackle, but we don't know yet. He's been injured. Same thing with this Jackson Carmel. We don't know. You got somebody that you do know, and Penny Sewell, or you could with Rashawn Slater. Either or. Or if you really wanted a guard so bad, get the guard from USC that the Jets got. Like, I mean, if that's how you really need a guard so bad, there it is. There it was. Just boom, here you go. We'll get him. He could have just got one of those tackles, push one of these people, because Riley Reef even said he could have played guard. There you go. Or take one of those guards that was at the second and do whatever you got to do. But you should have took Penny Sewell. Penny Sewell, Rashawn Slater should have took one there. And like I told you earlier, it was a ton of wide receivers that didn't get picked yet. Could have went De'Ame Brown, who didn't get picked yet. You could have went Rondale Moore, who didn't get picked yet. At that, because they were the 38th pick. None of them was picked. All of them was picked after that pick. Terrence Marshall, you want one of his LSU boys so bad. Terrence Marshall didn't get picked to 49. So y'all even had him at 45. Bengals fumbled the bag.
Oh,
that's about it for me.
I know I was literally either going to say them, and like I said, I personally was just not a fan completely of what Dallas was trying to do.
Okay, elaborate.
Now listen, I get that defenses are very solid. Well, at least need to be solid. But they traded up, if I'm not mistaken, to get Micah Parsons. Now, I believe he's going to be a stud. Do not get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. However, you can also correct me if I'm wrong on this, but do they not need corner help over there?
They do. I didn't follow them who they picked. I know they picked up a corner in the second round.
Well, they did, and my point is you traded up to get Micah Parsons. Now, I'm not saying he was going to be available. I'm certainly not saying he's going to be available. However, you also had Patrick Surtain that was, he got picked up. But if you were going to trade up for a defensive person, you would think it would be at a position of serious need. Now, that's just me personally. I know that they recently they declined Leighton Vander Esch, his contract, his 5th-year option. I get that, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's completely off the books. And they still have Jalen Smith, if I'm not mistaken. So you still have some very formidable linebackers, one in which you actually paid big money to. And I also get Sean Lee just retired. I get that. However, once again, you trade up usually for a position of serious need. San Francisco, for instance, they traded up to that 3rd pick because they were in serious need of a quarterback. And I was actually very impressed with their draft as well. They picked up Trey Sermon, which I will talk about later. Go ahead. But yes, usually draft up for a position of serious need. I'm not convinced that their linebacking core over there was in serious need of a Micah Parsons.
And now that's where I kind of get why they did. It threw me off a little bit too, but then I kind of had to sit back and think like, okay, Jalen, we ain't watching the Cowboys like that. Neither one of us. But the games that I did watch, because I'm always gonna try to figure like, dang, they defense that. If anybody's that bad, I gotta watch. Like, what's going on? It's Jalen Smith. They paid him that big money and he ain't showed up. Sadly, it's like from the year before he got paid, it's like night and day. I don't know what happened. And then with Leighton Vander Esch, he ain't there. He low key turned into Sean Lee. He just ain't there.
Just get hurt a lot.
Yeah, he just ain't there. So I get why they did it, because at the end of the day, if you're linebacker core, you start from that. You either start from the D line, you start from the linebacker core, because them two key pieces will help you out your secondary. I didn't get to see who they drafted in the second round for the corner. Depending on who they drafted at corner, I'll judge it here.
It was a Kelvin Joseph from Kentucky.
And I'll respect that one, because I do like Kelvin Joseph, who is pretty good. So they in a sense, I don't. Definitely, if Patrick Surtain or J.C. Horn was right there, you could have went up and got him.
Caleb Farley was on there.
Yeah, Caleb Farley was right there, even though he was injured. But at the end of the day, phenomenal. Greg Newsome, who went to the Browns, had a little pick by the Browns. But I do get why they did it because their linebacking core was atrocious and they could not stop nobody on the run. It stung. So I get it. I get it to the extent, but I do know what you mean. You got it. That's a good argument.
Like I said, I'm not mad at who they picked up. I'm more mad at why they picked him up. Because like I said before, it's a clear... And listen, to your point, even if they are playing bad, it's a clear shot at their linebacking core right now.
Oh, for sure.
It's a clear shot.
And
so it's like...
That's how
and I know, and I understand that's how the game works. But my point is like I said, if this is a shot at your linebacking core... then this equally has to be a shot at the incompetence of Jerry Jones when it comes to drafting right now. It has to. It literally has to because, like I said before, you have a serious glaring need at corner right now. Your offense is fine. For what it's worth, before Dak got hurt, your offense was actually trending on the up and up. It was really getting scary.
Yeah,
but your defense was the question. Now, to your point, if the linebackers can shore up their line of defense, then it would make it much easier for the corners, and that wasn't happening. However, I'm not so certain yet. Yeah. I'm not so certain that was a result of their playing ability more than I think it was how that defense was being called. And then, more importantly, the fact that the defense always had to be on the field because, like I said, your offense was severely affected after Dak went down. Mm-hmm. So, if that's how you truly feel about your linebacking core, I have to, like I said, take a shot at Jerry Jones and say, listen, now I'm not convinced that you know what you're doing in these drafts anymore. If you feel like that, if that's the move that you got to make, but that's just me. Like I said, that's just me. But we have some other questions that we got to get into. Yeah. And one being best landing spot. Best landing spot.
Oh boy.
Ooh. And you can do one or two for these.
Man, oh man. Best landing spot. I always see when I asked this question, I thought I had the right answer, but then when I thought about it, I said, ooh, it's a lot of good ones. My first one would have to be Andre Cisco. Yeah, Andre Cisco. He went to Jacksonville, I believe.
What was the first round?
He's late rounder. He might have been third.
Okay, I can check it out real quick. But what did you like about it?
I liked about Andre Cisco because
he did third round to the Jacksonville Jaguars, number 65.
You want to talk about I forgot it because the Jazz could have been one of those one teams too. That's called a need. They didn't have a good safety last year. No. And you talking about Andre Cisco could have been one where Loki could have been a first rounder. He is
like that.
Oh, back in free safety with range. I'm talking about where Kevin Byard plays with Titans like that everywhere.